Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. In the beginning today, I pointed you toward the relaxed and alert nature of being consciousness. Your own nature. In doing this, I hope to point out to you that you would notice that by simply coming back, if you drift away from this relaxed, alert nature of being consciousness, that you would begin to notice the way in which if you withdraw attention from anything that's in the mind, any sensation in the body, any memory, any previous experience, you find yourself here now in this relaxed and alert state of recognition of your own nature, which is before thought, sensation, and experience. In doing this, you come to notice the love, the compassion, the peacefulness, which is here already and is your nature. One of the paradoxes of the inquiry is that we have to do a certain amount of doing or efforting in the direction of not doing and not efforting in order to see this essential nature that you have as love or being consciousness. Just be sure that as you are here as this alert awareness, that if you slip away into some thought, into some emotion, into some memory, into some experience, that you lovingly and gently return yourself to this pristine awareness. Once you come to this awareness, to this recognition that awareness is here now, that I am aware, however that comes to you, there's nothing more for you to do. The reason I say this is because I don't want you to pick up any kind of a practice or a method. This awareness which you are in your essential nature does all the work. There's really, literally, nothing for you to do. It takes a little bit of time for people who have a strong history of spiritual life and meditation and so on, spiritual practice of one sort or another, to understand that it is the awareness which is here now which actually does the work. It is not me, or it is not you. That as soon as you come, as soon as there's a recognition that that which is aware is here now, and there is a resting in that essential nature, anything that needs to be let go of, anything that needs to be purified, anything in terms of tendencies or conditioning or samskaras, is let go in this recognition of awareness itself. And so I can say, you can experience directly that it is awareness which does the work, not you. The reason I point this out to you today is because this is a very distinct difference between the inquiry and meditation in its traditional and formal understanding. In traditional and formal meditation, there is a me who meditates. This me, or this sense of I-ness, needs to be here in order to be able to do japa, to do mantra, to do visualization, to meditate on an object like the breath or the sensations in the body. This is a traditional form of meditation, but this requires an I. There has to be someone here doing it. By comparison, the inquiry doesn't ask you, in fact, it encourages you not to pick up this sense of I or doership. It asks you rather to recognize that the prior state of your own essence is awareness. And then just to rest there, to do nothing. Don't pick up this you. Don't pick up the I. Don't be the meditator. Don't be the spiritual seeker. Just be here now in this already recognized awareness and allow awareness to do the work. This is the essential form of the inquiry. This is the inquiry even beyond the word, who am I, or what is aware here. It is the simple recognition that awareness is here and remaining as that. So I ask you, were you able to feel your own loving presence this morning? A little bit is good, however much you can feel it. You know, it's important to remember and to understand that it's taken many years and perhaps many lifetimes to come into this place of conditioning, the way in which the mind just clouds things and takes things over. But it also, whatever your experience has been, has brought you here to Tiruvanamalai, to Arunachala, to satsang, to the teachings of the great masters who've been here in the past, so that you can see that there is something else going on besides this momentum of conditioning. Maybe you only get a glimpse of it today, or in this minute, this moment. Maybe you just get a small glimpse of it. But this small glimpse is never forgotten and acts like a seed. So each time you come back, even if you're just walking on the street in the middle of the chaos of Tiruvanamalai, and you have this remembrance, this recognition, that which is aware is here now. And I'm walking up the street with all the noise and the dirt and the dogs and the cows, and just walking up the street, there's a recognition, that which is aware is here now and is fully present in this recognition of here nowness. This glimpse will keep returning over and over, and eventually will become mature, it will stabilize itself. This is why I'm saying to you today that if you keep coming to awareness, you can just relax, because you can allow awareness itself to do the work. So the small effort that the you has to make is to remember that which is aware is here now. When you have the opportunity to sit quietly somewhere under a tree or in the ashram or here at satsang in the morning, when you have that opportunity, certainly take advantage of it. Remain quiet and still as much as possible. The more you're able to do that, the more that this foundation of stillness, of recognition, of awareness will grow and solidify and give you a firm foundation for your life as a spiritual being, the essence of truth. But you can also do it when you're in the market and in the restaurant and you're at home on your own and you're walking down the street or you're on the hill or you're going Girivalam. By your simple recollection and remembrance that that which is aware is here now in this moment. This is the essential form of the inquiry. The answer, if you will, there is no answer, of course, to the question, who am I? But the direct perception that awareness is here and that this is your essence is in some way the resolution of that inquiry, in the question, who am I? And that which is aware, and that which is aware is here now. Now, of course, when I say this to you in this way, can remain as a concept with you, can remain just as something you know in your mind. But the more you hold on to this kind of a concept, that you are that which is aware, the more opportunities you create for that awareness itself to shine through in its radiant quality in your own heart and mind. And it will come when it comes, as long as you keep remembering that which is aware is here now. And I am that. Okay? So the other day you had this experience here of this direct perception of awareness, which is before all other arisings. So how is it going? Or is it going?
It's, as you said, it's not stable. But the other thing what I wanted to ask you, even if I have this, so this, your guidance aware, leave the I, recognizing awareness without I, of awareness of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
What is missing then? I mean, seems to be very essential, but still, I mean, it feels right.
Yes.
But it feels something is missing.
Yes. What is that? It's said that in the moment of recognition or stabilization, let's say, the deep settling of this experience which you said it's still coming and going. In the deep settling of that experience, this recognition of awareness itself as the foundation of all states of body, mind, and world. What comes with that recognition is the elimination of doubt. So one way to look at what you're experiencing is that this is the mind which wants something more, or which doubts the reality that this can be enough, or this is enough, or this is the essential nature of mind, essential nature of being consciousness. So now, when you are having this experience where you are just in this being awareness, and this mind comes up and says, is this it? Is this all there is? Can this be enough? Now you need to recognize that immediately as the conditioned mind of doubt. Okay? Yes? And come immediately back to the understanding that this awareness is before even this doubt. Don't give this momentary thought, this momentary doubt, which is very deep, it's very profound. I don't want to minimize it at all. It's very profound doubt. Once this is stepped away from, you begin to chop at the root of it. Maybe you chop at it once and the tree falls, but maybe you have to chop at it over and over again. Chopping at it meaning not doing violence, but rather just recognizing this is conditioning in the mind, which is saying something is missing. So if you look at the idea that something is missing, look straight at it and realize that this is an idea. And this idea is based in something. So it's based in what you have read over all the years you've been seeking. It's based in all the teachings you've heard. It's based in some someone saying when the experience of self-realization takes full blossom, it happens as a big explosion, and there will be this big realization. So all of these ideas about what does it mean to be self-realized is what's behind that idea that something is missing. And what one can really say, the mind is saying, it can't be this simple. But the true sages, Ramana, Nisargadatta, Anandamoyi Ma, they have all said, this is closer than your breath. So if it is closer than your breath, how can it not be also simple? But I'm not here to convince you of anything. Only to point out to you that this knowing, this intuition of truth becomes simpler and simpler and simpler. So keep going. When I say keep going, I mean just keep going through this doubt. But recognize it as doubt. This will help you. This is doubt. As soon as you recognize it as doubt, the tendency right away is to put it down, isn't it? Right here in this moment, if I say, oh, that's doubt, the tendency is going to be in any true, genuine, authentic seeker, if you will, to want to put that down, not to cling to it. So now it becomes your task. When you see this in your still, quiet moment of being, this is doubt, it dissolves. And you find yourself where you were in the beginning, just here, as awareness, as being consciousness. Feeling the presence of your own love, of your own compassion, of your own being in this moment. One of the things that's true of inquiry is in the end you have to realize that you have to want nothing. You really have to want nothing. That here, now, this moment, the full expression of what you're experiencing in this moment is enough. Right? This is the end of seeking. It's the end of doubt. This not wanting of anything. So again, there is some small effort that is required, but the effort is to be effortless in the not wanting of anything. The non-doing, the doing of non-doing, right? But it's not making non-doing or effortlessness into a doing. It's to realize the true essence of not doing is being, consciousness, and bliss. It is not a doing, but it can feel like that in a moment like this, where you have this clear perception of awareness itself, and then this doubt creeps in, and the mind says, but this can't be true, it can't be it, this can't be it, there must be something else. But this letting go, coming back into this recognition that not that this doubt is here, but that the awareness of doubt is here, and the doubt isn't real, and the awareness is. Simple shift, but a profound one that makes all the difference. And you can understand that the momentum of conditioning, which has been causing you to seek for many of you for years and years and years, is no longer serving you anymore. And that you're not interested in seeking for the sake of an experience. That in order for being consciousness to become itself in a way, to shine through this conditioning, the wanting of nothing, the doing of nothing, but remaining as aware being consciousness is the way. And the momentum of this kind of, we can say maybe a reconditioning, it is a sort of a minor form of reconditioning. This gains momentum very quickly. So this perception, this direct perception which you experienced 2 days ago, this will gain momentum very quickly as soon as you take up this recognition that that is doubt and this is reality. So, which do you choose? And all the years and lifetimes that it took for the conditioning of doubt to show up, that will crumble and dissolve very quickly. And the recognition of being consciousness, as being consciousness here now, in this moment as awareness itself, this will gain momentum very quickly. Why? Because it's the natural state. It's not something you're creating. This doubt that was in the mind before or is in the mind now, even to a small degree, this is something that has been created over through decades or lifetimes of misunderstanding or miscomprehension or missing the target in some way. But the recognition of being consciousness is the natural state. It is what is always here. It's here already. It's not something that needs to be created, only recognized. So just keep recognizing it. Was there something you wanted to say?
By keeping recognizing this awareness, does that allow, well, not allow, does that enable us to stabilize in this awareness? So by doing it again and again,
Yes.
then we can hope to get to a point that this awareness is always, even though it is always here, but that I will recognize it all the time.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yes. Understanding that the awareness itself is that which is doing the work. Okay, so understand that once you have this intuition, which you just expressed, which is, oh, if I keep coming back to this awareness, which is here all the time, then it will stabilize. But understand that it's not you that needs to do the stabilizing. It is the simple return to being consciousness awareness in this moment, which does the work. In a way you can say, because it's the most pleasant state you can experience, right? Being here now as awareness, for all of us, is the most pleasant moment. This is why we come to satsang, it's why we meditate, it's why we're seeking in the first place, is because we have this intuition about this being absolutely the most pleasant experience that we can have. Yeah. And that natural pleasantness gives us the ability to have it take care of everything it needs to take care of in order for that to stabilize. So just keep coming back.
And I guess obviously, I think I can say that I've been extremely lucky, fortunate, whatever the name is, to actually have a glimpse of this awareness.
Yeah.
But it's a glimpse, and then somehow it doesn't fade away. But then I'm trapped again in the daily life routine and dealing with people
Yes.
Yeah. So it just can. Yeah, obviously you cannot say, yeah, keep doing it and in 10 years you will.
Yeah.
It's not possible, right? But it feels sometimes a little bit frustrating because...
Yes, but that's why it's important for you to recognize that where you've had the glimpse, how you've had the glimpse up to this moment has been probably in a moment of silence, right?
Yeah.
In a moment of meditation or in a satsang, somewhere you had that glimpse. Or it could have been sitting in your kitchen with a cup of coffee. Just someplace quiet usually.
Right.
And this self-radiance shines through just for a moment. So now understand that this awareness is the nature of your own essence. And even though you're out there in the world and you're getting caught and you're having this experience of being pulled around by experiences and situations and circumstances, the absolute simplicity of recognizing in any moment throughout the day that awareness is here now, regardless of what the object is, okay? Something caused you in a moment to realize, even in a difficult conversation or stressed by work or busy in traffic or something like that, or traveling, something caused you to remember in this moment you are aware.
And this is
enough. This is the way in which you understand in that moment that you've just had another glimpse, that the foundation for all of this craziness is awareness itself. Okay? So you've come back to it. You've allowed it to shine through into the ordinary, full catastrophe experience of living. And eventually what happens is, I want to reassure you so you don't think you're just going to stay in the full catastrophe of living forever, that what happens eventually is that you come to recognize the stability of this recognition of awareness itself. And that actually allows the full catastrophe to go on, but without effect. Okay? Without that kind of veiling or clouding that you're describing. Mm-hmm. I will tell you that the most valuable couple of ideas or thoughts to have at this moment for you are probably faith and patience. These will be your allies. Faith that the inquiry, the recognition of your essential being is true. It's not just another idea in your mind. It is the truth of your nature. It is the essence of your nature. So faith that is true. until it becomes your only experience. And patience, because it sounds like you have a life that is still has some disturbance and chaos in it. So patience that this will eventually, that what you see inside in that moment of recognition, in that moment of glimpsing, in that moment of the recognition of being consciousness, this will eventually not only permeate your experience, but transform it as well. Again, you needing to do nothing. Letting awareness do the work. Remaining present throughout all of your experiences as much as possible from morning till night. And retiring from time to time from the chaos of your own experience, if that's what it is for you, into those moments of silence. So giving yourself both the permission and the realizing the necessity for you at this time to find ways to sit quietly with yourself in this recognition of awareness itself. Because if you never do that again, the chaos is going to remain in some way, barring some fantastical opening which shatters all of that chaos. It will continue. So do give yourself permission. This is sometimes difficult for us once we've reached this place where we understand, this is the essence of who I am, but I only see it occasionally. Then this is the moment to recognize that we can give ourselves permission to enter into a silent recognition of awareness itself as being consciousness, to ask this question, who am I or what am I? We give ourselves permission to spend some of our life energy in those moments of self-recognition, that we consciously withdraw from the seeming chaos in our lives. So you may need to do that as well, to give yourself the opportunity to stabilize the glimpse that you've had.
There is this, what you are saying, like this space and peace and quietness, and on the other hand, I see like a lot of pain, like on the edge of it. Like there is me, and there are some other people, and there is some like desires to serve them and be with them and be recognized by them. Sometimes it's not fitting, it's not possible, and there is like such a pain, like even like physically in the chest. And then there is this peace which is not actually connected to it.
Very good.
But if I completely like let go this pain, it means I'm also letting go down these people and all the desire to be with them. And I always like wanted to like my parents always told me like I need to like, I don't know, be good and things and do the things that should be done, and now it's sometimes not possible and a lot of pain. And so what the one will become when he let down everything else and just be the peace? I mean, other friends would be maybe upset or something, I don't know. Or the parents even, or partners, they already are upset.
Yes.
So can we just let go? Or?
Well, yes, of course we can just let go, but we have to ask ourselves the question, how do we do that?
But is it also good for others if we let go of? Is it good for others if we let go?
Well, of course it's good for others if we let go, but maybe not in the reason that you're for the reason that you are suspecting. You are saying, is it good for others if we let go? The reason it's good for others if we let go is we are no longer engaging in the conflict. This has always a positive effect on whatever others there seems to be out there. You see, when conflict is always increased when there are two others which are opposing each other. When one of them lets go and becomes transparent, the effect is always beneficial. Someone stops the argument, stops the fight, stops the conflict. Now, when we're talking about partners and parents and conditioning of the family and the culture, understand that we're not talking about just because you don't push back against what you are arguing with, that means that they will immediately stop the way they are feeling. You can't control other people. You are only able to free them, to liberate them through the transparency of your own mind and heart, the sheer emptiness of being consciousness. If you are here as being consciousness, which is the heart of being, as unconditional love and compassion, eventually those apparent others feel that. Right now, you can look in your own mind and you can answer this question. How do you feel when you think about these things or these people or this conflict? How do you feel?
I always put some of my conditions and actually block this love which is there.
Yes. So you can feel this tension, huh? You can feel this conflict that's happening inside of you. And where is it happening? It's happening in the heart. Mm-hmm. And it's also happening in the mind. So there's tension in the mind, there's tension in the heart, there's tension in the body by following this path. You can see this or not?
Yes.
You can feel it. Huh? Yes. You don't even need to see it, you can feel it.
Yes.
But if you ask yourself, before all of this conflict, this stress, before looking at this heart which is clamped down and this mind which is clamped down, is awareness there?
Of course.
Of course. Look how quickly you said that. Of course. Now, turn your attention toward that awareness, toward that of course. What happens to the conflict?
Disappearing, then it's going back and forth.
Yes, it's still there, but you see, that's right. It begins to move out toward the periphery, right? Okay, so you just had the direct understanding, the direct perception that when you bring these ideas, this conflict, this stress into focus using the mind, it comes in and it takes over. As soon as you come back to awareness, it begins to move toward the periphery. And the open space is there, right? This is the space to remain in. What's happening on that periphery has its own lifespan. So I'm saying to you, there's nothing you can do about that. There is nothing to do about it, except remain here in the heart of being. So that when that conflict and that stress moves from the periphery, it begins to move in toward the heart again. You see it coming. You know it's coming. You know that that's not the way to go. You know that's not going to benefit anyone. and you come directly back into this moment of being consciousness, this recognition of awareness itself, and this begins to move the conflict out to the periphery again. And eventually out at the periphery, it is starved of food. Its food is your attention in the mind. Eventually it is starved of your attention and it dissolves into space, because that's what's at the periphery. It's not a something, it's a nothing, is at the periphery. So eventually it dissolves. Now those beings that you talked about before, parents, partner, and so on, because you've been holding them in the open space of this loving awareness, rather than in this conflicted and stressful mind, you've been holding them in the open heart. They are allowed, that conflict in them is also allowed to dissolve. For one, the next time you see them, you will realize they no longer think of you in the same way. Now they see you only as unconditional love. For another, it might take years, but that is their particular journey to awakening. It's not yours. You take care of your own recognition of being, consciousness, and bliss, allowing the world to take care of itself. And in so doing, you liberate not only yourself, but also all beings, all ideas, all conditionings, all family members. Everyone is liberated. Simply refrain from picking up the conditioning again, and all is well. Are you aware in this moment still? Yes, this awareness is here. Yes. Can you just rest there? And what do you feel if you do?
What do I feel? Huh? Say it again.
How do you feel when you rest in awareness?
I feel peaceful, of course, but there is this thought.
But look at that. Look at that. But there is this thought. What I'm trying to point you toward is there is no thought. Don't pick it up. Don't let that but happen. Or if it does happen, because it's just a form of conditioning, just let it go. Don't listen to it. Stay with the peace. Stay with the awareness. And let the awareness tackle that but. Let the awareness slowly work on dissolving that. Don't you, quote unquote, do anything. Just remain aware. Recognize that what you're suffering from is conditioned thinking, not truth. If you are resting as peace, now you are enjoying peace. You are not troubled by peace. Do you enjoy being troubled? No, it doesn't seem so. Well, so if you don't enjoy being troubled and you recognize that, then it becomes quite direct. Stop going in that direction.
I feel like the other person wants me to. They even prefer if I fight them than just ignore them. Or
Yes, of
peace.
course. But this is also just a conditioned projection. There's no truth in this.
What is true for them?
Who is them?
Partners, parents.
The reason there is still a them is because there is still a you. You have to cut this you. When there is no you, there are no others. There's only this one, which is doing this dance. And sometimes this dance appears as conflict, but that's not true. There's a knowing of this.
I may know it, but they wouldn't know it.
Why do they need to know it?
Because
maybe you are making an unreasonable demand on them. You see, you can demand of yourself and of God and of Arunachala and of Ramana and everybody, of me, that you wake up. You can demand that. But you cannot demand that they wake up in order for you to feel comfortable. This you don't get to do. This will never work. They have their own karma. They have their own journey and their own destiny.
You can feel comfortable in that, but I'm feeling they might be feeling even less comfortable around me then.
You have to go forward and see. This is another projection of the mind. Do you see that? I am afraid that they might feel blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's another projection of your mind, not their mind. You go forward with your own liberation. This takes faith, persistence, courage, strength to a certain degree. You go forward with your liberation and understand that to liberate one's mind, one's body, one's being consciousness, and allow it to open and shine in the world is to liberate all beings. This is the only way. Otherwise, you are using your parents, your partner, your friends, your whatever, to hold you back from shining in the world.
Thank you.
Please don't trouble them by making them responsible for you not knowing yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Sometimes the circumstances in which we find ourselves and the people which we find in our lives are really only there to begin to show us the ways in which we use our own projections to deny our essence. And so we say, oh, I definitely am the self, but I can only really be the self if they go along with it. If they accept it, then I can be the self. But if I can't bring them all along, then I am not the self. Knowing this, that this tendency comes up in us from time to time, gives us the opportunity to be present in really difficult circumstances and not expect everyone else to come to our way of being or our way of thinking, but rather to just offer them unconditional compassion and love and presence while they go through whatever this me might appear to be provoking. It is also true that if you come into this recognition of being consciousness bliss, you can and will begin to see some people around you are provoked by your presence. This is also true. You are doing nothing. You are being nobody, going nowhere. But some provocation seems to be happening. Some people are really irritated by you. What are they irritated by? By the peace, the compassion, the unconditional love, which they can feel, even if their minds are trying to block it. They can feel it. And what they are unsettled by, you can say, is the gap between what they feel when they are in your presence and what they feel when they look inside themselves. And the understanding is just, whether they know this mentally or not, the understanding is just that there is some vast gap between who they would like to be and who they think they are, because they can see in the reflection of you who they would like to be. And this can be very provoking. But this is also part of the karmic journey that you have with these people, right? They help you, you help them. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, it's so uncomfortable. But if only one person in that whole equation can remain as being consciousness, as an open heart, as unconditional love, if only one person in that circumstance can remain open, the possibility for growth across the whole of the relationship, across the whole karmic experience is there. So be that one. Be that one. Offer compassion, love, kindness, especially to the most difficult ones in your life. Be grateful for them. Even if all they are doing is teaching you what you should not be or you don't want to be. Sometimes this is what happens. A person comes into our lives, or we are raised in a family where we say, well, now I know how not to go in that direction. They have shown me what will happen if I go in that direction. So even then we can have some gratitude toward that difficult experience, that difficult person. See, I might not want to spend a week with you, but I can still be grateful for the learning, the understanding that I have now, that this expression wants to be unconditional love, unconditional compassion, unconditional presence, through realizing what happens when there is conflict and stress and hatred and delusion is the dominant way of being in the world. So then we are grateful for having seen that. All right, we're at the end of our time for today. As always, it's a pleasure and a joy to spend time with you all. Go in peace. Hari Om. Tat Sat.